Hey guys, today we're showing you how to make a low-carb chili in the slow cooker, all while having a whole lot of fun. Hey guys, welcome back to my camper kitchen. I am Cris from recipes@crock.com, and today we are showing you how to make one of our favorite slow cooker chili that just so happens to also be low carb. So what I have going on is a whole lot of ingredients here. Now usually, or most of the time, when we use ground beef that needs browned up as a part of the recipe, I go ahead and do that ahead of time to save a little time. But I got to looking on my recipe and decided that most of the ingredients go in with the ground beef, so I thought I would go ahead and do that step while we do the show today too. So we have 2 pounds of ground beef already in our browning slow cooker, or a multi-cooker that can brown. If you don't have a slow cooker that has that feature on it, you can just do this part in the skillet until we have the browned ground beef. So we've got 2 pounds of ground beef in the slow cooker, and we're going to add some different spices to that and seasoning to that so that so we can season the beef as we cook it before we add the remaining ingredients for the chili. Okay, so we got 2 pounds of ground beef. We are going to add to that, while it cooks up, I'm going to chop this up a little bit. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of our favorite chili powder, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of chopped onion, and 2 tablespoons of cumin. And then salt and pepper to taste. And we will probably add I'll probably add the steak seasoning now too, instead of at the end. I think the original recipe I just added this at the end. One of the reasons that I'm adding so much salt, there's salt in this, or salt in the salt of course, and then there's salt in the steak seasoning, is that my tomatoes actually don't have added salt in them this time. So, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. You can play all of that flavor, all of those seasonings to taste too. So if you don't like so much chili powder, or if you don't want that much cumin, you can kind of adjust it how you want to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add all of these again. I'm going to salt. Just going to salt this just a little bit because that's 2 pounds of ground beef. To that, we've got, again, our 3 tablespoons of chili powder. And how spicy this ends up being depends upon how spicy your chili powder is. And then to that, 2 tablespoons of garlic. We like the freeze-dried. When we're on the road, I pick up this Lighthouse variety. Sometimes it's in the spice section, sometimes it's actually in the refrigerated section. It doesn't have to be refrigerated though. 2 tablespoons of minced onion. You could use fresh onion if you wanted to, especially since we're browning it with the ground beef. Or if you just want to grab from the pantry like I am, that makes it easier around here. Haven't done the cumin yet. 2 tablespoons of cumin. There we go. I'm gonna wait to add the steak seasoning until the end. Okay. Come on now. I'm on my stovetop. Yep. Okay. So I've got this kind of going here. I'll show you. I always forget about this camera, guys. So that's a lot of seasoning. I'm going to let that brown. I'm going to put the lid on it while I chop up these ingredients. The only other part to this recipe, once this is browned, is we have a 28 ounce diced tomatoes. If you're purposely making this to be low carb, you're going to want to check your carb counts. They're going to vary greatly depending on which ones you pick up, which ones you have available to you. I think I originally made this recipe with 2 poblano peppers. They didn't have any at the store. You could technically use jalapeno if that's what you prefer. I am using Anaheim. And so what we're going to do is we are just going to seed these babies and chop them up to go into the chili. And while I'm doing that, I am going to let my handy dandy can opener open my tomatoes, and hopefully Mikey will fast forward all of this. My can opener was a little bit faster than I was at getting the job done. So I am going to just keep chopping until my ground beef is browned. Now, one of the things that the recipe mentions is if you don't drain your ground beef, if there's a lot of liquid left over from your ground beef, like if you didn't use a lean ground beef, then you may want to drain it, or the end result might have a little bit of an oily texture. If that doesn't bother you, then I wouldn't worry about it. I can remember when I was in college, someone told me the secret to their chili was that they let the ground beef, they actually did the tomatoes and then just broke up the ground beef and dropped it in. They didn't cook it until they let it cook within the chili. That was the secret to their chili. So it kind of made me rethink always ditching all the drippings. I really don't mind it, so a lot of times we just leave it. We'll see how much liquid we have left over. Because with adding all those seasonings to the ground beef, when you drain it, you're going to lose a little bit of that. Not making this perfect by any means, just chunks. It's going to add flavor. And I'm going to check my ground beef. The big secret to this is by cooking your seasonings into your beef, it makes your beef itself have a more chili-like flavor. Kind of like when you make taco meat and you cook that taco seasoning right into the ground beef. I know you add it, but you like boil it into it. That kind of is a similar kind of method. Like I said, if you can't do this part in your crock pot, you can do this in a skillet on the stove, and then once it's all browned up, you can dump it into a traditional slow cooker and you can cook right along with us. This has got just a little bit longer to go, so when we're back in a snap, then we'll be ready to combine all the ingredients. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, so my ground beef is browned and there's not too much excess in there. There's a little bit, but it's not too bad, so I'm going to leave it. And I'm just going to add the remaining ingredients, which my tomatoes that I mentioned earlier, they just go in. And then I'm going to have to shut this off to dump in my peppers. So my poblanos. I'll put them in there. Now, the chili fixins I like for this, while this cooks. Okay, let me finish on how this cooks. So, we are going to cook this. I'm going to cook it on high, actually, for about probably 3 to 4 hours. You can cook it on low as well for 6 to 8 hours. It's if you have a newer slow cooker, it's probably going to be closer to 6. If you have an older slow cooker, you probably could stretch it to 8. You're just wanting all these flavors to cook in together really, really yummy. And in the meantime, what you're going to want to get together is definitely some sour cream and shredded cheddar cheese. That's what I like to eat on ours, at least. I like to serve it with a little bit of lime or guacamole too, because we love those flavors all together, kind of like we enjoy with our chili verdes that we make. But that's up to you if that's your thing or not. But I will be back in a few hours to show you what this looks like. In 3, 2, 1. I forgot my steak seasoning. I'm always forgetting something. We're just going to put this in a little bit. We can add more later if we want to, or more salt later. Alright, now carry on. Now you can shut it off.
Also in the beginning we forgot to snap.
And we are back. The chili has been cooking on high, I think, for about 3 hours, and I bumped it over to warm because I was in the middle of something else. It is now done. Let's look at it here so you guys can see it in the side camera. It's nice, meaty, yummy chili. So what we're going to do is we're going to scoop some of this out. I also made some guacamole while we were off camera. I'm just going to put some of this chili in a bowl. I'm going to top it with a little bit of cheddar cheese. If you miss crackers and you're low carb, you could always use some Parmesan crisps. Going to add a little bit of sour cream and a little guacamole to ours. Right here. Now, this is going to be really hot. I'm going to try not to burn myself. Let's come here. So if you can see it, all the toppings. That's one of the difficult things about chili is all the toppings always hide the goodness below, but the topping's really important to the enjoyment. So if you can see, it's got the tomatoes and the meat, and then the peppers are in there too. I know I saw it. Right there's one. See the peppers? So it's all cooked together, nice and flavorful. Let's get a little bit of sour cream on here. Woo! A little bit of everything. Nice and smoky, and that beef has just absorbed all those flavors. So yummy. Now, I know Mikey is going to serve this up over hot dogs because that's kind of what he does. He loves this chili with that. It's an easy way, so you can eat it like that. You can eat it in a bowl. If you wanted to add a little bit more to it, you could even serve it over cauliflower rice, or if you're a regular non-low carber, you could toss in some pasta if you want to. I know some people don't like pasta in their chili. I'm from southern Indiana and we did that back home. But anyhow, super flavorful. Love it. I'm gonna add just a little bit more salt because remember how we had, if you hear that snarling down below, that's Octavius because he smells that I have food up here.
It's also me.
Oh, and Mikey. And then Addie is hunting me over here. It's like they're all caving in, ready for the chili to be ready. So, anyhow, well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say that I'm going to close this out before I get attacked by somebody somewhere. If you like this video, we'd love for you to give us a thumbs up. If you are not already a member of the Crock Posse, click subscribe and you become a member of our slow cooking RV loving family around here. If you want notified every time we upload a video, click the bell down below. We call that the ding-a-ling. But whatever you do,
Laugh often,
eat good food,
And speak life.
bye guys.
stop tickling my foot.
If you want to see the latest, click on the left right here. If you feel like subscribing, click on the right, my dear. And if you think we're funny enough to send us money, click the Patreon.